When I first got into real estate, all I thought about, because all I saw was, well, big houses, flashy cars, jewelry, vacation all the time. But the reality started to set in. So I'm going to share with you 5 things I wish I knew before I got started in the real estate game. Here we go. So this is no particular order, but I'm going to list 5 things and I'm going to go through them. Here's number 1. Don't fall in love with the property. I know this may sound cliche, but falling in love with the property is not the point, okay? You have to make sure that you run your numbers. You got to make sure that it makes sense and that you can make sure that you cover all your expenses, and making sure that you get cash flow too. All those things are important. Run your numbers over and over and over again. So don't buy a property just because it looks cute, or don't buy a property and you go through it and just because somebody else tells you, hey, look, this is a good deal. You need to make sure, because at the end of the day, when it comes to taking care of everything and making sure that the tenant is good and making sure that you're cash flowing and that you can repay the loan, all those things are important. But again, like I said, don't fall in love with the deal. All right? Number 2, another thing that I learned too was your net worth, Number 2, your net worth. Number 2, your network is your net worth. You need to make sure that you're around the right people and these people can help you. In other words, you're going to have to build a team. And it's not hard to do, especially if you've been to my workshops or you've read my ebooks. I give you all that information clearly so you can get started. But when it comes to this, you have to make sure you have a team. It's so important. I used to think that I could do this myself because I just didn't know what I didn't know. Making sure that you have a good group, a good network is so vital, because I'm gonna promise you, if you think you can go out and do this yourself, you're sadly mistaken. This is a business and it is a team sport. So if you wanna go far, you're gonna have to have people. I try to do it by myself. It's hard. It's almost impossible. It's like playing basketball when you have all these people against you, but yet you're by yourself. You can't be the point guard, the shooting guard, the power forward, and the center, and the coach, and whatever. You can't be all of it. So you have to make sure that you have a team around you. Really, really important. Number 3, this is what trips most people up, whether it's the beginner investors or even your advanced investors, is making sure you have the proper funding. Funding is important because that's the beginning stage right there. I know how to go out there and get funding, but let me explain something. I don't use the commercial banks like your Chase Bank, your Wells Fargo, Bank of America, because they don't fund on deals that we as real estate investors get into. In other words, I use something called creative financing. I don't have to put 20% down on every single deal. And they're investor friendly. That's what I like about it. And I can get funding for deals that are in bad shape. Those are the type of deals I like dealing with. Or I could deal with a motivated seller, especially if they're like retired and maybe their house is paid for. You can do something called seller financing. That's a method that you can use that I teach all the time. So these are just some different strategies that you could use to where you don't have to put 20% down necessarily, but most importantly, you're not dealing with your commercial banks because they're not investor friendly. Number 4. Now, number 4. Here is a big one, and it's this: not getting into Section 8. That is what cost me at the very beginning. I should have got into Section 8 at the very beginning when I first started. But ironically enough, the tenant that I got into in my property before, she was a bus driver, and it was a 12-month lease. Well, she left after about 6 months. It wasn't her fault. It's just that her job laid her off. But she wanted to stay in my property, but she couldn't, obviously. So that's what made me pivot to get into Section 8. And then I started learning the game of Section 8, but on my own, because in 2000, there wasn't a whole lot of programs or anything out there teaching you about Section 8. My point is, that's when I started to learn that I like to get guaranteed cash flow, passive income. That's when I started to learn I enjoy linking with Section 8 because that way I get guaranteed passive income and it's steady every single month for 12 months. That was key, and that's what brought my attention to Section 8. I didn't care what the naysayers said. I wanted to make sure I was getting into something that was profitable and that was sustainable and that I could do with and that I can be in for long term. Those things were really important. And then last but not least, this is not a sales pitch. I'm just being realistic and honest with you and transparent. I wish that I had a mentor when I first started out. At the very beginning, I was going out here, trial and error, guessing it, winging it. And when you're getting into real estate and you're dealing with numbers and money and people, as I look back, I should not have done that. I could have cut my learning curve 5, 10, 15 years simply by getting with somebody that could guide me, answer my questions, and assist me along the way. I made a lot of mistakes, and I do this YouTube and other platforms to help people so they don't make the same mistakes that I made and that you can go through here almost seamless, right? Without making all those mistakes. The other 4 mistakes that I told you about that I wish I knew, I could have learned that through a mentor. And that's the same thing with you. Now, if this video really brought you some value, guys, I ask for you to do me a favor, smash that like button, subscribe, and if you have any questions, put them in the comments. See you in the next video.